I delivered coffee to the wrong office. He looked up and said, "Finally, you're here." My name is Lily Chen, and I'm 25 years old. I work as a barista in Seattle. This story is about how one delivery mistake completely changed my life. It was a Wednesday morning. The coffee shop was slammed. We had orders backing up, people getting impatient. My manager asked me to do a delivery run. "Take these to the offices downtown," she said, handing me a tray with 6 coffees. I grabbed the tray and the address list, rushed out the door. The addresses were all in the same building, different floors, different companies. I took the elevator up, started making deliveries. 5th floor, 6th floor, 7th floor. Everything went smoothly until the last delivery. The order slip said 10th floor, office 1012. I got off the elevator, found office 1012, walked in. The receptionist wasn't at her desk. I'd kept walking, looking for someone to give the coffee to. That's when I walked into a corner office. A man was sitting at his desk. Early 30s, dark hair, expensive suit. He looked up when I entered. "Finally," he said. "You're here." I held up the coffee. "Your order," I said. He stood up, walked around his desk, looked at me intensely. "I've been waiting for you," he said. "For my coffee?" I asked, confused by how seriously he was taking this. "For you," he corrected. "I don't understand," I said. "Neither do I," the man admitted. "But I dreamed about you last night. About a woman with your face delivering something to my office. I thought it was symbolic, but here you are." "That's weird," I said. "Very weird." "I know," the man agreed. "I'm Ethan Cross, and you are..." "Lily," I said. "Lily Chen." "Lily Chen," Ethan repeated. "I like that." "Look, I should go," I said. "Your coffee is getting cold." "Wait," Ethan said. "Before you go, can I ask you something?" "What?" I asked. "Do you believe in fate?" "Not really," I said. "Neither did I," Ethan said. "Until this morning, I had this dream. A woman walked into my office. I knew instantly she was important. Then you walk in, looking exactly like the woman in my dream." "That's just coincidence," I argued. "Is it?" Ethan asked. "Maybe," I admitted. "Or maybe you're right and it's fate. Either way, I need to finish my deliveries." "Before you go," Ethan said, "can I get your number?" "Why?" I asked. "Because I need to see you again," Ethan said. "To figure out if this is really fate or just a strange coincidence." I shouldn't have given him my number. Should have just left. But something about him was intriguing. "Fine," I said. I wrote my number on a napkin, gave it to him. "Don't make me regret this," I said. "I won't," Ethan promised. I left his office, confused and slightly freaked out. When I got back to the coffee shop, I checked the order slip. That's when I realized my mistake. The coffee was supposed to go to office 1002, not 1012. I had delivered to the wrong office, which meant Ethan hadn't actually ordered coffee. I had just randomly walked into his office right after he had a dream about me. That evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello?" I answered. "Lily," Ethan's voice said. "It's Ethan Cross, from this morning." "I remember," I said. "Have dinner with me," Ethan said. "Tonight?" I asked. "Too soon?" "Maybe," I admitted. "Tomorrow then," Ethan suggested. "I should say no," I said. "But you won't?" Ethan said. "How do you know?" "Because you're curious too," Ethan said. "You want to know if this is fate or coincidence." "I am curious," I admitted. "Fine. Tomorrow, dinner." "Where?" "I'll pick you up," Ethan said. 7 p.m. I gave him my address, hung up. Wondered what I was getting myself into. The next night, Ethan picked me up in an expensive car. Tesla. Black. We drove to a nice restaurant, the kind with cloth napkins and multiple forks. "This is fancy," I said. "Too much?" Ethan asked. "Maybe a little," I admitted. "I'm a barista. I usually eat ramen." "We can go somewhere else," Ethan offered. "No," I said. "I'm curious about this world. Your world." "My world isn't that exciting," Ethan said. "I run a tech company. Spend most of my time in meetings or at my computer." "What kind of tech company?" I asked. "AI development. We create machine learning systems for businesses." "That sounds complicated," I said. "It is," Ethan agreed, "but I love it." We talked through dinner about his work, about my job at the coffee shop, about our lives. Ethan told me about growing up in Seattle, about starting his company at 25, about building it into something successful. I told him about growing up in a Chinese immigrant family, about my parents wanting me to be a doctor, about choosing art school instead, about dropping out when money got tight. We talked for 3 hours. When dinner ended, Ethan drove me home. "Thank you," I said, "for dinner, for the conversation." "Thank you for coming," Ethan said. "Can I see you again?" "I'd like that," I said. Over the next month, we saw each other constantly. Dinners, coffee dates, long walks through Seattle. Ethan was different from anyone I had dated. He was intense, focused, driven, but also surprisingly vulnerable. One night, 6 weeks after that first coffee delivery, Ethan asked me something.
"Move in with me," he said. We were at his apartment, a penthouse overlooking the city. "That's fast," I said. "I know," Ethan admitted, "but I can't stop thinking about you. About that dream. About how you walked into my office exactly when I needed you." "What do you mean when you needed me?" I asked. "I was having a terrible morning," Ethan explained. "Everything going wrong, questioning my choices. Then you walked in, and suddenly everything felt right." "That's a lot of pressure," I said, "to be someone's everything." "You're not my everything," Ethan clarified, "but you make everything better." "I need to think about it," I said. "Fair enough," Ethan agreed. I thought about it for a week. Moving in with Ethan meant leaving my apartment, leaving my roommate, changing my whole life for someone I had known 2 months. But also, I was falling for him. Really falling. I said yes, moved into Ethan's penthouse, started building a life with him. 3 months after delivering that coffee to the wrong office, I was living with a tech CEO. My roommate thought I was crazy. "You barely know him," she said. "I know," I admitted, "but it feels right." "What if it doesn't work out?" she asked. "Then I'll deal with it," I said. "But I think this is real." My parents were less supportive. "A tech CEO?" my mother said. "What does his family do?" "I don't know," I admitted. "We haven't talked about that yet." "You need to be careful," my father warned. "Men like that have expectations." "I can handle expectations," I argued. Living with Ethan was an adjustment. He worked constantly, early mornings, late nights. Sometimes he would be on calls at midnight. I kept working at the coffee shop, needed my own income, my own independence. Ethan didn't understand. "You don't need to work," he said. "I can support both of us." "I need to work," I corrected. "I need my own money, my own life." "You have your own life," Ethan said. "No," I said. "I have your life that I'm living in. There's a difference." We fought about it, about money and independence and what it meant to be partners. Eventually, we found compromise. I would keep my job, keep my independence. He would respect that. 6 months after that coffee delivery, Ethan proposed. We were at the coffee shop where I worked. He came in during my shift, ordered a coffee. When I handed it to him, there was a ring in the cup. "Lily Chen," Ethan said, "6 months ago, you delivered coffee to my office by mistake." Or maybe not by mistake. Maybe it was fate. Either way, you changed my life. Marry me. Everyone in the coffee shop was watching. My coworkers, regular customers, all staring. This is intense, I said. I know, Ethan admitted, but I'm an intense person, and I've never been more sure of anything. Yes, I said, I'll marry you. We got married 3 months later. Small ceremony, just close friends and family. My parents came, met Ethan's family for the first time. His parents were wealthy, old money, very different from my immigrant parents who ran a small restaurant. The wedding was beautiful. I wore a simple dress. Ethan wore a suit. We said our vows in a garden, promised to choose each other every day. 1 year after delivering coffee to the wrong office, I was married to Ethan Kruss, building a life I never imagined. But marriage wasn't easy. We had different backgrounds, different expectations, different ways of seeing the world. 1 year into marriage, we had our first major fight. Ethan wanted to buy a bigger house, something in the suburbs. I wanted to stay in the city, near my job, near my life. We can't stay in this apartment forever, Ethan argued. Why not? I asked. It's too small, Ethan said. We need more space. For what? I asked. For a family, Ethan said. Eventually. We haven't talked about kids, I pointed out. I know, Ethan admitted. But I want them. Someday. I'm not ready for kids, I said. I'm 26. I'm just starting to figure out my life. I'm not asking for kids now, Ethan said. Just planning for the future. The future feels far away, I said. Can we just focus on now? We compromised, stayed in the apartment for another year, agreed to revisit the house question later. 2 years after that coffee delivery, I quit my job at the coffee shop. Not because Ethan wanted me to, but because I wanted to try something new. I started painting again, something I had given up when I dropped out of art school. Ethan converted a room in the apartment into a studio, bought me supplies, encouraged me to create. This is amazing, I told him. Thank you for supporting this. I always want to support you, Ethan said. Your dreams matter as much as mine. I painted for 6 months, created a whole series. Ethan helped me set up a showing at a local gallery. The showing was successful. I sold 3 paintings, got commissions for more. Suddenly, I was an artist, not a barista pretending to be an artist. A real working artist. 3 years after that wrong delivery, we bought a house. Not in the suburbs, but in a neighborhood we both loved. Somewhere with character. Somewhere that felt like home. This is perfect, I said on moving day. It is, Ethan agreed. This is our home. Not mine. Not yours.
Ours. 4 years into marriage, we started trying for a baby. It took longer than expected. Months of negative tests, of disappointment, of questioning if something was wrong. Maybe we should see a doctor, I suggested. Give it a few more months, Ethan said. It'll happen. 5 years after delivering that coffee, I got pregnant. We were both thrilled and terrified. Our daughter was born 9 months later. We named her Maya. She was perfect. Tiny and beautiful and completely overwhelming. I don't know how to be a mother, I told Ethan. Neither of us knows how to be parents, Ethan said. We'll figure it out together. The first year with Maya was hard. She didn't sleep. I was exhausted. My art took a backseat to motherhood, but it was also amazing. Watching her grow, seeing her personality develop. One night, when Maya was 6 months old, Ethan said something. Do you remember that day? He asked. Which day? I said. The day you walked into my office, Ethan said, with the wrong coffee order. I remember, I confirmed. I think about it all the time, Ethan said, about how one mistake led to everything, to us, to Maya, to this life. Do you think it was fate? I asked, or just coincidence? Does it matter? Ethan asked. Either way, I'm grateful. Me too, I said. 6 years after that coffee delivery, we were building a life together. Not perfect, but real. Challenging, but worth it. That's what I tell people when they ask how we met. I delivered coffee to the wrong office. He looked at me and said, "Finally, you're here." Like he had been waiting for me. In a way, maybe he had been. Maybe we both had been waiting for that moment, that mistake that led to everything. But the story doesn't end at 6 years. That's just where the foundation was laid. 7 years after that wrong delivery, Maya started talking. Her first word was dada. Ethan was thrilled. "My daughter said my name first," he kept saying. "Just wait," I told him. "She'll be calling for mama at 2 a.m. when she has nightmares." Ethan was a good father, better than I expected. He had been so focused on work before Maya, but once she was born, he shifted priorities, started coming home earlier, taking paternity leave, actually being present. One night, when Maya was 18 months old, I told him something. "You've changed," I said, "since she was born." "For better or worse?" Ethan asked. "Better," I confirmed. "You're more relaxed, more present." "She grounds me," Ethan explained. "Makes me remember what matters." 8 years after that coffee delivery, I had my first solo art show, a gallery in downtown Seattle, featuring 20 of my paintings. Ethan helped set it up, invited everyone he knew. The opening was packed. People loved my work. I sold 15 paintings that night. "I'm so proud of you," Ethan said. "You did this, all on your own." "With your support," I corrected. "I couldn't have done this without you watching Maya, without you believing in me." "We're a team," Ethan said. "We support each other. That's how this works." 9 years after walking into the wrong office, we faced a crisis. Ethan's company hit financial trouble. A major client pulled out, revenue dropped, layoffs were necessary. "I might lose everything," Ethan told me one night. "The company I built, everything I worked for." "Then we'll rebuild," I said. "Together." "You don't understand," Ethan said. "This isn't just money. This is my identity, my purpose. Who am I without this company?" "You're my husband," I said. "Maya's father. A person, not just a CEO." "But this is who I am," Ethan argued. "No," I said. "This is what you do. Who you are is separate." It took months for Ethan to stabilize the company. He worked constantly, barely slept. I tried to be supportive, but I also felt alone. One night, I confronted him. "You're never here anymore," I said. "I'm trying to save the company," Ethan argued. "I know," I said. "But you're also missing Maya growing up, missing our life." "What do you want me to do?" Ethan asked. "Find balance," I said. "The company matters, but so does your family." Ethan made changes, delegated more, came home for dinner, stopped working weekends. The company survived, and our marriage survived. 10 years after that coffee delivery, we celebrated our anniversary, a decade since I walked into his office. 10 years, Ethan said. Best decade of my life. "Even the hard parts?" I asked. "Especially the hard parts," Ethan confirmed. "They made us stronger." We renewed our vows, just us and Maya in our backyard, promising to choose each other for another decade. 11 years in, Maya started school, kindergarten. Suddenly, our baby was growing up. I cried on her first day, I admitted to Ethan. "So did I," Ethan confessed, in the car after I dropped her off. "She's growing up so fast." "Too fast," I agreed. 12 years after that delivery, we had another baby, a son. We named him Lucas. Lucas was different from Maya. More sensitive, more cautious, needed more reassurance. Ethan struggled with that. He didn't understand Lucas the way he understood Maya. "I don't know how to reach him," Ethan told me when Lucas was 2. "He's different from Maya. He needs different things. Like what?
Ethan asked. Patience, I said. Gentleness. He needs to know it's okay to be sensitive. Ethan worked on it, learned to connect with Lucas, to appreciate his sensitivity instead of trying to change it. 13 years after walking into the wrong office, my art career took off. I got representation from a major gallery, started selling paintings for serious money, contributing financially in a real way. "This is amazing," Ethan said. "You're really making it as an artist." "I couldn't have done it without your support," I said. "All those years of believing in me." "You did the work," Ethan corrected. "I just believed what was always true, that you're talented." 14 years in, Ethan sold his company, a major acquisition, life-changing money. "We're set," Ethan said, "for life. Our kids are set. Our grandkids will be set." "That's overwhelming," I admitted. "I know," Ethan said, "but also freeing. I can do anything now." "What do you want to do?" I asked. "I don't know," Ethan admitted. "The company was my whole identity. Now what?" "Now you figure out who you are beyond the CEO," I suggested. 15 years after that coffee delivery, Ethan started a foundation, using his wealth to support arts education in underserved communities. "This is perfect," I told him. "You're using your resources to help others, combining business with purpose." "You inspired this," Ethan said. "Watching you pursue art despite the odds, despite dropping out of school, despite everyone saying you couldn't make it, you did it anyway. I want to help kids who have the same dream but not the resources." 16 years in, Maya started high school. She was smart and creative and independent, so much like both of us. One night, Maya asked about how we met. "Mom," she said, "how did you and Dad actually meet?" "I delivered coffee to his office by mistake," I explained. "That's it?" Maya asked. "That's it," I confirmed. He looked at me and said, "Finally, you're here." Like he had been waiting for me. "That's romantic," Maya said. "It was strange," I corrected. "But yes, also romantic." "Did you know he was the one right away?" Maya asked. "No," I admitted. "It took time, but there was something about him that pulled me in." 17 years after that wrong delivery, Lucas started having anxiety, school stress, social pressure, panic attacks. We got him therapy, supported him through it. Ethan struggled with it. He didn't understand anxiety, had never experienced it himself. "Why can't he just push through?" Ethan asked after a particularly hard day. "Because that's not how anxiety works," I explained. "It's not a choice. It's a condition. I need you to understand that so you can support him, not judge him." Ethan did research, learned about anxiety, became one of Lucas's biggest advocates. "I was wrong," Ethan admitted. "I didn't understand, but I'm learning. Thank you for being patient with me." "We're a team," I reminded him. "We learn together." 18 years after delivering coffee to the wrong office, we faced another crisis. My mother got sick. Cancer. Aggressive. I needed to help my parents, be there for my mother, go back and forth to their house. Ethan supported me, took time off to be with the kids, let me focus on my family. "Your family is my family," he said. "Do what you need to do." My mother passed away 6 months later. I was devastated. Ethan held me through the grief, let me fall apart, then helped me put myself back together. 19 years in, Maya graduated high school, top of the class, headed to college. "Our baby was leaving," I said. "I know," Ethan agreed, "but she's ready." "Are we ready?" I asked. "Probably not," Ethan admitted, "but we'll adjust." With Maya gone, the house felt empty, even with Lucas still there.
We had to relearn how to be a couple, not just parents. 20 years after that coffee delivery, we celebrated big. 2 decades since I walked into his office. 20 years, I said. 2 decades since that mistake? Best mistake of my life, Ethan said. Mine too, I agreed. We took a trip, just the two of us. Lucas stayed with Ethan's parents. We went to Italy, ate amazing food, saw incredible art, reconnected as a couple. This is nice, I said one evening in Rome. Just us. No kids, no responsibilities. It is, Ethan agreed. I love our kids, but I also love us. Me too, I said. 21 years in, Maya graduated high school. Top of the class. Headed to college. Our baby was leaving, I said. I know, Ethan agreed. But she's ready. Are we ready? I asked. Probably not, Ethan admitted. But we'll adjust. With Maya gone, the house felt empty. Even with Lucas still there. We had to relearn how to be a couple, not just parents. 22 years after that wrong delivery, we became empty nesters. Both kids out of the house, living their own lives. The house is too quiet, I said. It is, Ethan agreed. What do we do now? We live, Ethan said. Just the two of us again, like when we first got married. We started dating again. Weekly dinners out, weekend trips, rediscovering each other. 23 years in, Ethan had a health scare, chest pains. Tests showed minor heart issues. You need to slow down, the doctor said. Less stress.
Better habits. I was terrified of losing him, of being alone. You scared me, I told him. I'm sorry, Ethan said. I'll make changes. He did. Started exercising, eating better, taking care of himself. We went to counseling to process the scare, to talk about mortality, about making the most of whatever time we had. 24 years after delivering that coffee, Maya got engaged to a man she met in college. Jake was kind and funny and clearly loved her. The wedding was beautiful. I cried through the whole thing. Our baby is married, I told Ethan. She is, he agreed. We did good. We did, I confirmed. 25 years after that wrong delivery, we renewed our vows. Again. 25 years since I walked into his office by mistake. A quarter century. In my vows, I talked about mistakes becoming blessings, about wrong deliveries leading to right lives. In his vows, Ethan talked about dreams, about dreaming of someone and then having them walk into his life. 26 years in, Lucas found his path. He wanted to be a therapist, to help people with anxiety, like he had struggled with. I'm proud of you, I told him, for turning your struggle into purpose. You and Dad taught me that, Lucas said, that challenges can become strengths. 27 years after that coffee delivery, we became grandparents. Maya had a baby girl. They named her Lily, after me. Holding my granddaughter, I thought about everything. About delivering coffee to the wrong office. About Ethan saying, finally, you're here. About 27 years that followed, all leading to this moment. 28 years in, we moved. Downsized to a smaller house. Something manageable for just the two of us. This feels right, I said, starting a new chapter. It does, Ethan agreed. We've had so many chapters together. So many more to come. 29 years after that wrong delivery, Ethan fully retired. From business, from everything. Focused on the foundation and spending time with family. This is the good life, he said. No stress, no pressure, just being. 30 years after delivering coffee to the wrong office, we celebrated big. 3 decades since that Wednesday morning. 3 decades since I walked into his office by mistake. In my speech, I reflected on 30 years, on how one wrong delivery created all of this. 30 years ago, I was a barista, I said, running late, stressed, delivering coffee to the wrong office.
I walked in, and a man looked up and said, "Finally, you're here," like he had been waiting for me his whole life. That moment changed everything, led to this marriage, these kids, these grandkids, this life. Looking back, I'm grateful for that mistake, for getting the office number wrong, for walking into Ethan's life exactly when we both needed it. After the party, Ethan and I sat on our porch. 30 years, he said. 3 decades since that dream, since you walked in. Best 30 years, I agreed. We held hands. 2 people who had built a life from one wrong delivery, who had chosen each other every day for 3 decades. I still think about that dream, Ethan said. What dream? I asked. The one I had the night before you walked in, Ethan explained. I dreamed about a woman walking into my office, knew she was important. Then you actually showed up. Do you think it was real or just coincidence? Does it matter? Ethan asked. Either way, you're here. You've been here for 30 years, and I'm grateful for every single day. Me too, I said. Me too. 31 years after that wrong delivery, we took up new hobbies together. Cooking classes, ballroom dancing, things we never had time for when the kids were young. This is fun, I said after our first dance class. Just doing something together that has nothing to do with being parents. I like being just us, Ethan agreed. Not mom and dad, just Lily and Ethan. 32 years in, Maya had another baby, a boy. They named him Ethan, after his grandfather. Ethan cried when Maya told him, "You're naming him after me?" he asked. "Of course," Maya said. "You're the best dad I could have asked for. I want my son to be like you." 33 years after that coffee delivery, I had a major retrospective, a museum show featuring 30 years of my art, work from when I first started painting again to my most recent pieces. Ethan helped curate it, chose the pieces, wrote descriptions. "This is your legacy," he said at the opening, "proof of what you've built." "You're wrong," I corrected. "This isn't my legacy. Our kids are. Our life together is. The art is just a piece of it." "Maybe," Ethan agreed, "but it's an important piece." 34 years in, Lucas got married to a woman he met in graduate school. Sarah was perfect for him, calm and understanding and supportive. The wedding was small and beautiful. "I'm happy for him," I told Ethan. He found someone who gets him, someone who appreciates his sensitivity instead of trying to change it. He found what we have, a real partnership. 35 years after delivering coffee to the wrong office, we faced another health scare. I found a lump. Tests showed it was benign, but the scare was real.
I thought about dying, I told Ethan. About leaving you. About missing out on more grandchildren. More life. "You're not going anywhere," Ethan said. "We have decades left." "I hope so," I said, "because I'm not done with you yet." "Good," Ethan replied, "because I'm not done with you either." 36 years in, we bought a vacation home. Somewhere quiet, by the water, where we could escape when we needed peace. "This is perfect," I said. "Our retreat, for when life gets too loud." Ethan agreed. We spent weekends there, just the 2 of us, reading and walking and enjoying quiet. 37 years after that wrong delivery, Ethan was diagnosed with Parkinson's. Early stage, manageable, but still frightening. "This changes things," Ethan said. "I know," I confirmed. "But we'll handle it. Together. Like we've handled everything else." The diagnosis was hard. Ethan had to adjust to new limitations, to slowing down, to accepting help. "I'm not used to being weak," he told me one day. "You're not weak," I said. "You're human. There's a difference." 38 years in, Maya became a mother of 3. Her house was chaos. Beautiful chaos. Watching her parent reminded me of when we were young parents. Overwhelmed but figuring it out. "You're doing great," I told Maya one day. "I feel like I'm failing constantly," Maya admitted. "That's parenthood," I said.
Constant feeling of failure mixed with moments of pure joy. You and Dad made it look easy, Maya said. It wasn't easy, I corrected. We just didn't let you see the hard parts. That's what good parents do. 39 years after that delivery, Lucas and Sarah had a baby. Twins. A boy and a girl. Ethan and I flew out to help. 2 babies at once, Sarah said. I don't know how we're going to do this. You'll figure it out, I told her, like everyone else, one day at a time. Ethan was amazing with the twins. Patient and gentle despite his Parkinson's symptoms. You're a natural grandpa, I told him. I love this stage, Ethan said. All the joy of babies without the constant responsibility. We can hand them back. 40 years after that wrong coffee delivery, we threw a massive party. 4 decades since I walked into his office. 40 years, I said in my speech. 4 decades since one wrong delivery changed everything. I was supposed to deliver coffee to office 10:02. I went to 10:12 instead. Ethan looked up and said, "Finally, you're here?" Like he had been expecting me. In a way, maybe he had been. Maybe we both had been expecting each other. Just didn't know it until that moment. 40 years later, we've built an incredible life. 2 kids, 5 grandchildren, careers we're proud of, a partnership that weathered every storm. And it all started because I got an office number wrong. That's the beauty of mistakes. Sometimes they lead exactly where you're supposed to be. After the party, Ethan and I danced. Slowly, carefully. His Parkinson's made movement difficult, but we managed. 40 years, Ethan said. And I'd do it all again. Even the hard parts, I confirmed. Especially the hard parts. They made us who we are. 41 years after that delivery, we wrote a book together about our relationship, about building a marriage over 4 decades, about mistakes and fate and choosing each other. The book was called Finally You're Here. It became popular with couples. People related to our story, to the idea that love takes work, but is worth it. We did book signings together, talks at conferences, shared what we learned over 4 decades. The main lesson? Love is a choice you make every day. Not just once, every single day for 41 years, we chose each other. 42 years in, Ethan's Parkinson's progressed. Movement became harder. He needed more help, more support. I was there, helping him dress, helping him eat, helping him maintain dignity as his body failed. Thank you, Ethan said one day, for not leaving, for staying even when things got hard. Where else would I be? I asked. You're my person. I made a vow 42 years ago to be here, and I meant it. 43 years after delivering coffee to the wrong office, we celebrated Maya's birthday. She was 43, the same age I was when I delivered that coffee. Has it really been that long? Maya asked. It has, I confirmed. 43 years since I walked into your dad's office. Time is strange, Maya said. Feels like yesterday and a lifetime ago. I know what you mean, I said. 44 years in, Lucas became a grandfather. His twins had babies. Twins run in families, apparently. We're great-grandparents now, I told Ethan. That makes us sound old, Ethan joked. We are old, I pointed out. We're in our 60s and 70s. When did that happen? I don't know, Ethan admitted. One day we were young, next day we're great-grandparents. Time is cruel that way. 45 years after that wrong coffee delivery, we moved again. To a senior living community. Somewhere with support, where Ethan could get the help he needed. This feels like giving up, Ethan said. It's not giving up, I corrected. It's being smart. Accepting help when you need it. We settled into the community, made friends, found new routines.
It wasn't what we imagined for our later years, but it was okay. 46 years in, we renewed our vows one final time. In the chapel at our community, with our kids and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. 46 years, I said in my vows, since you looked up and said, finally, you're here. I've been here ever since, choosing you every single day. In his vows, Ethan's voice was weak but steady. 46 years ago, I had a dream, he said. A woman walked into my office. I knew she was important. Then you actually appeared, and you've been important every day since. You're my everything, Lily. My partner, my best friend, the love of my life. Thank you for staying, for choosing me, for 46 years of love. 47 years after delivering that coffee, Ethan's health declined significantly. He was mostly in bed, needed constant care. I was with him constantly, holding his hand, reading to him, reminding him he wasn't alone. One night, he said something. Lily, his voice barely a whisper. I'm here, I said. That dream, Ethan said. The night before you walked into my office. What about it? I asked. I think I knew, Ethan said. Knew what? I asked. That you were coming, Ethan explained. That my life was about to change. That I had been waiting for you even though I didn't know it. I'm glad I came, I said. I'm glad you walked into the wrong office, Ethan said. Best mistake ever made. 48 years after that wrong coffee delivery, Ethan passed away, peacefully, in his sleep, with me holding his hand. At his funeral, I gave the eulogy. 48 years ago, I delivered coffee to the wrong office, I said. I walked in, and Ethan Cross looked up and said, finally, you're here. I didn't understand what he meant then, why he seemed to be expecting me, why he seemed so certain I was important. But he was right. I was there, and I stayed for 48 years, through good times and hard times, through health and sickness, through everything. I paused, looked at the casket. Ethan believed in fate, in dreams, in the idea that we were meant to find each other. I don't know if that's true, if fate is real, if dreams can predict the future. But I know this. 48 years ago, I made a mistake. That mistake gave me everything. A husband, a family, a life I never imagined, but wouldn't trade for anything. After the funeral, Maya came to me. Mom, she said, are you okay? I don't know, I admitted. I just lost my person, the man I've been with for 48 years. You'll get through this, Maya said, because he taught you how, taught you to be strong, to keep going even when things are hard. You're right, I said. He did teach me that. In the months after Ethan's death, I struggled with loneliness, with grief, with figuring out who I was without him. But I kept going, painted, spent time with family, lived, because that's what Ethan would have wanted. 1 year after Ethan's death, I went back to the building where his office had been. It was a different company now, different people, but I stood outside and remembered walking in with coffee, remembered him looking up, remembered him saying, finally, you're here. Thank you, I whispered, for 48 years, for everything. I spent the next few years living, traveling, spending time with grandchildren and great-grandchildren, telling them about their grandfather, about how we met, about 48 years of love. On what would have been our 50th anniversary, I went to his grave.
50 years, I said, since I walked into your office. We almost made it, almost got to celebrate. I sat there for a long time, thinking about everything, about mistakes and fate and love and life. And I realized something. It didn't matter if we believed in fate or coincidence. What mattered was that we chose each other every single day for 48 years. That was real. That was what mattered. I delivered coffee to the wrong office 50 years ago. He said, "Finally, you're here." And I stayed for 48 years, until death did us part. That's our story. A wrong delivery, a strange greeting, 48 years of love. And even now, years after his death, I'm grateful. Grateful for the mistake. Grateful for Ethan. Grateful for every moment we had together. 5 years after Ethan's death, I published a memoir about our life together, about 48 years of marriage that started with a wrong delivery. The book was called The Wrong Office. It became a bestseller. People connected with the story, with the idea that mistakes can become blessings, with the reality that love takes work. I did interviews, book tours, talks. Everyone wanted to know about Ethan, about our relationship. How did you make it last 48 years? People would ask. We chose each other, I'd say, every single day, even when it was hard. Maybe especially when it was hard. What was the secret? Another person would ask. There is no secret, I'd reply. Just commitment, communication, willingness to grow together instead of growing apart. Did you ever want to leave? Someone asked once. Honestly, yes, I admitted. There were moments when marriage felt impossible, when we seemed too different, when I wondered if we had made a mistake. But you stayed, the person said. I stayed, I confirmed, because love isn't a feeling. It's a choice, and I chose him every day for 48 years. 6 years after Ethan's death, Maya published her own book about growing up with us as parents, about watching our relationship, about what she learned. The book was dedicated to both of us. For showing me what real love looks like, it said. I cried reading it. Maya captured things I didn't know she had noticed. Small moments, quiet gestures, the way Ethan would look at me across a room, the way I would touch his hand when he was stressed. You were paying attention, I told Maya. Of course I was, Maya said. You and Dad were my example. You showed me what to look for in a partner, what to build toward. 7 years after Ethan's death, Lucas started a podcast about relationships, about mental health, about building a life with someone. He interviewed me for the first episode. Tell me about meeting Dad, Lucas said. I delivered coffee to the wrong office, I explained. Walked in. He looked up and said, "Finally, you're here," like he had been waiting for me. What did you think in that moment? Lucas asked. I thought he was strange, I admitted. Intense, but also intriguing. Something about him pulled me in. Did you know then that you'd spend your life with him? Lucas asked. No, I said. I didn't know anything then. I was 25, working at a coffee shop. He was this successful CEO. We were from completely different worlds. But, Lucas prompted. But we chose to bridge those worlds, I said, to meet in the middle, to build something together. That's what made it work. Not compatibility, not fate, choice. 8 years after Ethan's death, I moved back to the city, left the senior community, found a small apartment, somewhere with character, with life. My kids worried. Mom, you're 83, Maya said. Maybe you should stay where there's support. I've been taking care of people my whole life, I argued. First you kids, then your father when he got sick. Now I want to take care of myself, live on my own terms. Just be careful, Lucas said. I promise, I told them. 9 years after Ethan's death, I held my first art show in a decade. New work, paintings about love and loss and memory. The show was called Finally, You're Here, after Ethan's words that first day. The paintings sold out. People connected with the emotion, with the story behind the art. This is beautiful, a young woman said at the opening. Thank you, I replied. My husband died 9 years ago. These paintings are about him, about our life together. How long were you married? She asked. 48 years, I said. That's incredible, the woman said. How did you make it last? We chose each other, I said. Every day, even when it was hard. That's the only secret. 10 years after Ethan's death, I started a foundation to support young artists who couldn't afford art school, who had to drop out like I did, who needed someone to believe in them. The foundation was named after Ethan. He had always supported my art, had given me the space and resources to pursue it. This was my way of passing that gift forward. We gave out 50 scholarships the first year to young artists across the country. Each one got money for supplies, for classes, for living expenses, so they could focus on their art without worrying about survival. This would have made Ethan proud, Maya said at the foundation launch. It would have, I agreed. He always believed in supporting creativity, in giving people chances. 11 years after Ethan's death, I was invited to speak at a tech conference to talk about supporting your partner's dreams. The audience was full of young entrepreneurs, people like Ethan had been. I told them about delivering coffee to the wrong office, about Ethan saying, "Finally, you're here," about 48 years that followed. The key to our marriage, I said, was that we supported each other's dreams. Ethan supported my art, even when it wasn't profitable, even when people said it was a waste of time. I supported his company, even when it meant less time together, even when it was hard. We believed in each other. That's what made it work. After the talk, a young man came up to me. "My wife wants to start a business," he said, "but I'm worried about the financial risk, about what it means for our family." "Do it anyway," I said. "Support her, because the risk of not trying is worse than the risk of failure." 12 years after Ethan's death, I was diagnosed with dementia. Early stages. I would forget things, get confused, lose track of time. The diagnosis was terrifying. "I'm losing myself," I told Maya. "We'll help you," Maya promised. "You won't go through this alone." My kids were amazing. They set up support, made sure I was safe, helped me maintain independence as long as possible. 13 years after Ethan's death, I moved into memory care. The dementia had progressed. I needed constant supervision. "This is hard," I told Lucas, "accepting that I need help." "I know," Lucas said, "but you taught us that accepting help is strength."
Not weakness. Now it's our turn to help you. In memory care, I painted when I could, when my mind was clear enough. The paintings were different, more abstract, less controlled, but still meaningful. 14 years after Ethan's death, I was mostly confused, living in memories more than present. But there was one memory that stayed clear: delivering coffee to the wrong office. Ethan looking up, saying, "Finally, you're here." That memory never faded, even as others did. "Where's Ethan?" I would ask sometimes. "He's not here," Maya would say, gently. "But he loved you very much." "I remember," I'd say. "I remember delivering coffee. Him saying, 'Finally, you're here.'" "That's right," Maya would confirm. "That's how you met." 15 years after Ethan's death, I passed away, peacefully, in my sleep,
surrounded by family. At my funeral, Maya gave the eulogy. "My mother delivered coffee to the wrong office 63 years ago," she said. "She walked in, my father looked up and said, 'Finally, you're here.' In that moment, everything changed. They built 48 years of marriage from that mistake. Had 2 kids, 5 grandchildren, 8 great-grandchildren, created art, built businesses, made a difference. But more than that, they showed us what real love looks like. Not perfect, not easy, but real, committed, chosen every single day." Lucas spoke next. "Mom and Dad taught me that sensitivity is strength," he said. "That asking for help is courage. That building a life with someone means meeting them where they are, not trying to change them. Those lessons shaped my life, my career, my marriage." After the funeral, the family gathered, shared stories about Ethan and me, about our relationship. Maya told about the time we renewed our vows. Lucas shared memories of family dinners. The grandchildren talked about visits. And through all the stories, one theme emerged. We had built something real, something lasting, something worth remembering. Years later, people still tell the story about the barista who delivered coffee to the wrong office, about the CEO who looked up and said, "Finally, you're here," about 63 years that started with a mistake. The story has become almost mythical, a reminder that wrong turns can lead to right places, that mistakes can become blessings, that ordinary moments can change everything. In the end, that's the legacy. Not the art or the foundation or the books, but the story itself, a reminder to everyone who hears it that love is possible, that it takes work, that it's worth it. I delivered coffee to the wrong office 63 years ago. He said, "Finally, you're here." I stayed for 48 years, built a life, raised a family, created memories that lasted beyond both our deaths. That's our story. A wrong delivery, 2 people who chose each other, 63 years of consequences. And even now, years after both of us are gone, the story lives on, inspiring others, giving hope, reminding people that sometimes the best things in life come from mistakes, from wrong offices and misdelivered coffee and men who dream about women they haven't met yet. That was us. That was our story, and I'm grateful for every moment of it. Decades after both Ethan and I had passed, our story continued to live. Maya's children grew up knowing about how their grandparents met, about the wrong coffee delivery, about Ethan's strange greeting. The story became family legend, passed down through generations. One day, Maya's granddaughter asked about it. "Grandma," she said, "tell me again about how your great-grandmother Lily and great-grandpa Ethan met." Maya smiled, told the story she had heard countless times. "Your great-grandmother was working as a barista," Maya began. "She was delivering coffee to offices downtown, got an office number wrong, walked into the wrong place." "And?" the granddaughter prompted. "And your great-grandfather looked up," Maya continued. "He had just had this vivid dream the night before about a woman walking into his office, about knowing she was important. Then your great-grandmother actually appeared, looking just like the woman in his dream." "What did he say?" the granddaughter asked. "He said, 'Finally, you're here,'" Maya replied, like he had been waiting for her his whole life. "That's romantic," the granddaughter said. "It is," Maya agreed. But the real romance was what came after. 48 years of choosing each other, of working through problems, of building a life together.
the granddaughter thought about this. "I want that someday," she said. "Then remember this," Maya told her. "Love isn't finding the perfect person. It's choosing an imperfect person and committing to grow together." That's what your great-grandparents taught me. In schools, decades after we had died, teachers used our story as an example of how small moments can have big impacts. How one wrong delivery created a family. How mistakes can become opportunities. Students wrote essays about fate versus choice, about whether we were meant to find each other, about what makes a relationship last. The debates were endless, but the story remained, a reminder that love is possible, that it takes work, that it's worth it. Our foundation continued, the Ethan Cross Foundation for Arts Education, supporting thousands of young artists over the years. Each recipient learned our story, about how Ethan supported my art, about how I turned that support into a foundation to help others. The foundation became known for not just giving money, but for believing in people, for giving artists the same thing Ethan gave me: space to create, resources to survive, faith that their work mattered. The tech company Ethan founded became part of history, used in business schools as a case study, about building a successful company, about knowing when to sell, about using wealth for good. But more than the business success, people remembered Ethan for his foundation, for his marriage, for showing that success doesn't have to mean sacrificing family. My artwork was displayed in major museums, the paintings I created over 50 years of working. Each piece told a story about love, about family, about life. Art critics analyzed my work, wrote about themes and techniques. But my family knew the truth. Every painting was about us, about our life together, about the moments that mattered. Lucas's podcast continued for years. Even after his death, the episodes remained, listened to by people around the world. His first episode, interviewing me about Ethan, was the most downloaded. People connected with our story, with the honesty, with the reality that love is work. One listener wrote to Lucas before he died. "Your parents' story gave me hope," the letter said. "I was about to give up on my marriage, about to walk away. But hearing how your parents worked through 48 years, how they chose each other even when it was hard, that inspired me to keep trying." Lucas framed the letter. It hung in his office, a reminder that stories matter, that sharing truth can help others. Maya's book about growing up with us was assigned in marriage counseling courses. Therapists used it to show clients what healthy relationships looked like, how parents model behavior for children, how love impacts generations. Students of psychology studied our relationship, our commitment, our ability to weather storms. We became a case study, an example, a standard to aim for. The building where Ethan's office had been was eventually torn down, replaced with something modern. But the city put up a plaque, commemorating the spot where a barista delivered coffee to the wrong office, where a CEO said, "Finally, you're here," where a love story began that would inspire generations. People would stop, read the plaque, take pictures. Some would propose there, making their own memories in the place where ours began. The coffee shop where I worked became famous. Tourists would visit, order coffee, ask about me. The owners kept photos on the wall of me young and working, of Ethan visiting, of the life we built. They offered a special drink called the Wrong Office, made with the same coffee I had delivered that day. Proceeds went to the foundation. Every cup sold supported another artist. Years turned into decades. Our great-great-grandchildren grew up knowing our story. Some of them became artists, some became entrepreneurs, some became therapists. All of them carried pieces of what we built: our values, our commitment, our belief that love matters. On the 100th anniversary of that wrong delivery, the family gathered at the place where the building had been, where the plaque stood. Maya's great-granddaughter spoke. She was the same age I had been when I delivered that coffee. 100 years ago today, she said, my great-great-grandmother delivered coffee to the wrong office. She was 25, working as a barista, just trying to get through her day. She walked into office 10:12 instead of 10:02, and a man looked up, said, "Finally, you're here." She paused. That moment changed everything, created our family, created the foundation that supports artists, created a story that has inspired countless people over a century. But more than that, it taught us something important: that mistakes can become blessings.
That wrong turns can lead to right places, that ordinary moments can change everything. The family placed flowers at the plaque, a ritual they had done every year since Ethan and I passed, honoring not just us, but what we represented: hope, commitment, love that lasts. Later that evening, the family gathered for dinner, shared stories, laughed, cried, remembered. "This is what they built," someone said, gesturing at the gathered family. Dozens of people across 4 generations, all because Lily delivered coffee to the wrong office, all because Ethan said, "Finally, you're here," all because they chose each other for 48 years. That's the real legacy, another family member added. Not the art or the foundation or the businesses, but us, this family, built on a foundation of real love. In the end, that's what matters. Not how we met, not the strangeness of that first moment, but what we built from it. 48 years of marriage, 2 children, multiple grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. A legacy of love that continued long after we were gone. I delivered coffee to the wrong office 100 years ago. He said, "Finally, you're here." I stayed for 48 years, built a life, created a family, started a story that would outlive us both. That's the power of love. That's the impact of commitment. That's what happens when 2 people choose each other every single day, for decades, through everything. We built something that lasted, something that mattered, something that continues even now, a century later. And if I could go back to that Wednesday morning, to being 25 and delivering coffee, to walking into the wrong office, I wouldn't change a thing, because that mistake gave me everything, gave the world everything, gave our family everything. Thank you, Ethan, for saying, "Finally, you're here," for choosing me, for 48 years of love. That's our story, complete now. 100 years of impact from one wrong delivery, from one strange greeting, from 2 people who chose each other. And the story continues in our descendants, in the foundation, and the people inspired by our example, forever. The wisdom from our story spread beyond our family. Relationship counselors used it, marriage therapists referenced it, self-help books quoted it. The core lessons became almost universal. Choose your partner every day. Support their dreams. Work through problems instead of running from them. Grow together instead of growing apart. Simple lessons, but powerful. Years after our deaths, researchers studied our relationship. What made it last? What allowed 2 people from such different backgrounds to build 48 years together? They interviewed our children, our friends, people who knew us. The conclusions were fascinating. We succeeded, researchers said, because we were both willing to be wrong, to admit mistakes, to change. Because we saw challenges as problems to solve together, not reasons to leave. Because we kept choosing each other even when other options existed, even when it would have been easier to walk away. Our story became required reading in some marriage preparation courses. Engaged couples would read about us, discuss what we did right, what challenges we faced, how we overcame them. One couple wrote to Maya years later. "We were about to call off our wedding," they said. "We were from different backgrounds, different cultures. Everyone said it wouldn't work. Then we read about your parents, about how they bridged their differences, how they made it work despite everything saying they shouldn't. We decided to try, to choose each other the way they did. Now we're celebrating 10 years. Thank you for sharing their story." Maya kept the letter, added it to a growing collection. Proof that our story mattered, that it helped people. The coffee company that had employed me did something special. On the 110th anniversary of that wrong delivery, they created a scholarship for young people pursuing creative careers while working service jobs, the Lily Chen Scholarship, supporting artists who needed to work to survive,
who couldn't afford to just create, who needed someone to believe in them. Each year, 10 recipients got money, got support, got the same chance I had gotten from Ethan. Some of those recipients went on to great success. Others simply got to keep creating, to not give up their dreams. All of them learned our story about wrong deliveries and strange greetings and 48 years of choosing each other. The tech industry remembered Ethan differently, not for his dream or his greeting, but for how he ran his company, how he treated employees, how he balanced work and family. Other CEOs studied his example. How did Cross maintain work-life balance, they asked. He didn't, Maya would explain when asked. Not always. He struggled, worked too much sometimes, missed family events. But he kept trying, kept adjusting, kept prioritizing what mattered. That's the real lesson. Not that he was perfect, but that he kept trying to be better. The foundation that bore Ethan's name grew exponentially. By the 120th anniversary of our meeting, it had supported over 10,000 artists. Each one got resources, got mentorship, got belief, got what I got from Ethan all those years ago, space to create. And each one learned the story about delivering coffee, about finally you're here, about building something that lasts. Some of those artists created work about us, paintings, sculptures, films, plays, each interpretation different, each capturing something true about our relationship. A filmmaker made a documentary about our life, about that first meeting, about 48 years together. The documentary won awards, was shown in schools, used to teach about commitment, about real love, about choosing partnership every day. Students would watch, discuss, debate. Some thought we were lucky. Others thought we were just stubborn. All of them recognized that what we built was rare, special, worth studying. Our grandchildren all married eventually. Each wedding, they honored us, sometimes by placing our photo at the reception, sometimes by serving coffee during the ceremony, sometimes by simply telling our story. This is what real love looks like, they would say. Not perfect, not easy, but committed, chosen, built day by day for decades. Lucas's children followed his path, became therapists, counselors, helpers. They credited our example. "You showed us that vulnerability is strength," one said, "that asking for help is courage, that sensitivity and success can coexist." Maya's children became artists and entrepreneurs, carrying forward both our legacies, creating and building, making and doing.
One opened an art gallery, focusing on emerging artists, those who needed support and belief. Another started a tech company, building on Ethan's work, advancing what he started. All of them carried pieces of us, our values, our commitment, our belief that love matters more than success. On the 150th anniversary of that wrong delivery, the city dedicated a park, the Lillian and Ethan Cross Memorial Park, a place for couples, for families, for anyone needing to remember that love is possible. At the dedication, our great-great-great-granddaughter spoke. She was 25, the same age I had been. 150 years ago, she said, my great-great-great-grandmother made a mistake. She delivered coffee to office 1012 instead of 1002, walked into the wrong place, and a man said, "Finally, you're here." That moment created everything. This family, the foundation, the legacy. But more than that, it created hope. Hope that wrong turns can lead to right places. Hope that ordinary people can build extraordinary love. Hope that commitment matters. She paused, looked at the gathered crowd. I never met them. They died long before I was born, but I carry them with me. In my values, in my beliefs, in my understanding of what love should be. That's the real legacy, not the park or the foundation or the businesses, but the belief that love is possible, that it's worth working for, that it matters. The park became a popular place. Couples would visit, walk the paths, sit by the fountain. Some would propose there, making their own memories in a place dedicated to ours. Love is possible, people would say. Look at Lily and Ethan, they proved it. In the end, that's the story. Not just about us, but about what we represent. Hope, commitment, love that lasts. I delivered coffee to the wrong office 150 years ago. He said, "Finally, you're here." I stayed. For 48 years. Built a life that mattered. A family that continued. A story that inspired. That's enough. That's everything. That's our legacy. And it continues still. In every person who hears the story and decides to choose love. In every couple who faces challenges and decides to stay. In every person who makes a mistake and turns it into opportunity. We didn't set out to be an example. We just tried to love each other well, to choose each other daily, to build something real. But that trying mattered, that choosing mattered, that building mattered. And now, more than a century after that wrong delivery, the impact continues. Students study us, couples learn from us, artists create because of us. That's the power of one moment, one mistake, one choice. I delivered coffee to the wrong office. He said, "Finally, you're here." Everything changed. And the ripples from that moment continue spreading, touching lives we never knew, inspiring people we never met, creating impact we never imagined. That's love. That's legacy. That's what happens when you choose commitment over convenience, when you choose partnership over perfection, when you choose to stay. Did you like my story? Which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.